What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, programmers of all ages? Welcome back to yet another week's tutorial on introduction to HaxeFlixel and developing your game. So we're finally here. We're finally moving into the world where we have actual maps and not just a big black plane of void. But before we get started, there are a couple of things you will need to download to code along, or in this case, design along with us. So to get things started with, head on over to https ogmo-editor-3.github.io. Do not worry, the link should be in the description. If I forget, just give me a shout out in the comment section. I will put it there. So you might be asking yourself, well, what is Ogmo Editor? And as the description says there, Ogmo Editor is a free open source project oriented level editor made for indie game developers by indie game developers. Now, fun fact, if we go on over to the Ogmo GitHub page, what you will notice there in that beautiful orange line is that Ogmo is in fact made with the Hax programming language. How awesome is that? Now, it also integrates extremely well with the HaxeFlixel game framework, as you can see on the haxeflixel.com/documentation/creating a tile map. This link should also be in the description, and again, if I forget, just give your boy a shout out and I'll put it there. Now, this isn't going to be a step-for-step copy of their tutorial. I just wanted to say, for one, that if you struggled with my tutorial, or if I moved too quickly, or if you just prefer the written tutorial for this video specifically, there is a written tutorial on the HaxeFlixel site on how to use this software. You don't have to follow along, and the map we're going to create today is for the melee character testing map, so that we can test how the melee characters react to pathfinding and things like that. Now, after you downloaded it, which you can do by clicking on this button right here, it'll then take you to itch.io, where you can download it for your operating system of choice. We have the Penguin operating system, also known as Linux or GNU Linux, or Linux as some people call it. Then we have Windows, and we have the Apple operating system, which macOS. Yeah, for a second I was like, wait, that's exactly, never mind. In any case, after you download it, it's not an installable file, it's just an executable file that you will get. After that, head on over to the source files for tutorial 22, which is this week's tutorial, and then head on over into assets and images. Don't worry, this link will be in the description. I put the project link in every description, so this will definitely be there. Then what you want to do is download this. Now, please don't judge me, I'm not a pixel artist. The left one is a wall, the right one is flooring, and you might not be able to see it. Let's see if I can like severely zoom in on this. It's not pretty. What did you expect from a programmer? Any case, so after you get that, let me just zoom back out because that is way too zoomed in for my liking. After you get that, drag it into your images folder of your project. So that would be your project folder /assets/images. Just drag and drop the PNG in there, and then we'll be back. Okay, so now that you have downloaded the image, what you want to do is open your project, go Assets, Images, and you can just Control C, and then in your project, Control V, and that's it. Now, after that, you should just open up the Ogmo editor. So let me just close this down. Then if we go into the ogmo editor project files, on Windows specifically, I unfortunately don't have a Linux computer, nor do I have a Mac computer to show you guys this on, and my computer does not like virtual machines for some reason. And personally, I don't like them either. I find them restrictive almost. In any case, so you can just double click it, it'll open. Again, I'm sorry for other users, please forgive me. So what you want to do is say new project. Now we want to go over to our file. So for me, that is in YouTube, HaxeFlixel introduction, yada yada yada, hello world, asset, and this time you go into data, and then you say melee, just introduction to HaxeFlixel. Awesome. Now you save, because this is a project. So what you want to say as the name is introduction to HaxeFlixel. The depth is 5. We don't have external scripts. We don't have play commands. We don't care about that or that. For this, we can just make it. Let's make it 4096 for both, so the max size is max and min is both the same. Cool. Layer grid default size, we can just make that 16. Now we want to go over to layers. We say new layer. Entity layer, we say call this one the player. Then create. It's 16 by 16 and no additional tags. Then another one we will say is entity layer again. So melee monsters or monster. Say create. And then finally we have a tile layer which we can just call walls. And then create. Now you will notice, because we said it earlier in general, the grid width and height is 16 by 16 because that is the size of our pixels. Now if we click on entities, new entity, player. It's a player tag. We have a limit of 1 because we only want one player on the map at any given time. Let's change the color to something a bit more orangey or whatever your favorite color is. I'll go with this one, sure. I'll prefer to make the monsters red because danger and etc, etc, etc. Cool. Now we say new entity, melee monster. Create. We don't care about the limit because we'll probably end up spawning. We'll probably end up saying we want 1,000 on the map at any given time, and then it can just choose a random point on the map where to spawn a new monster in case we killed them, because I want to test pathfinding and visibility and things like that. Cool. That should be all for the entities. Next tile set. Now for the tile set, you want to go into your assets folder, images, and then you want to click on your walls and floor PNG. And then just open that. You want to say it is 16 by 16 walls and floor. Sure. Cool. Now if you click on the save button, it will take you into this glorious grid view, I guess is the term. So we just want to click on the wall specifically, maybe zoom out a bit to have a full view of our 496 by 496. Maybe zoom in at the top there. You can use middle mouse button to click and drag. Now if we click here for line, we can use the top button, the first mouse button, to just click and then drag, and that will create a line for us. Now what I'm gonna do is just create a box around the entire map so that the player once spawned in can't just escape randomly. Cool, so for the sake of not boring you to death whilst I do this, I'm just gonna cut here and then come back to you when that is done. BRB. And whilst we're busy with this, I just want to show you, so let's just zoom in a bit. Let's say I accidentally placed this row and I want to remove it. Now what I can do is use the right mouse button to just click and select a few and then just release and they will get deleted. So that's an easy way to get rid of the mistakes that you made during the map creation. So again, I will be back momentarily when this wall has been finished. Okay, so I just finished drawing the line around the entire map. Now what we want to do is sort of like divide the map into groups at a time, so that it's like sort of sections where there's walls and entrances, and it's almost like a maze, but I'm too lazy to create an entire maze just for testing purposes alone. Now we could probably use this. Let's see. No, we can't do that. That's horrible. That could have been cool if it was an outline. Any case, so what we'll probably end up doing is just, again, line tool, divide it half, divide that half again, until we have like at least, let's say, 10 by 10 squares, or no, that won't divide properly. We'll figure it out. Any case, again, I'm just gonna fast forward here so that you don't have to sit through me creating the entire map, because in all honesty it is kind of boring, but I felt that it's still important for me to show you how to do this, so that on your side you know how I got to the maps. If after this tutorial series you feel you want to create your own game, then you should have everything that you need to do that. In any case, I will be back again when the grids are drawn and we are ready to spawn in some new monsters. So let me just... So let's say now, whilst you were creating the map, and I will admit I was a bit of a dumbass. 4096 by 4096 is a pain. I've been dividing it up. So I go, look where's 23. So you can see down at the bottom right corner of the map, like right here, you can see it is the coordinates of which block. So you can see like there is 23 by 1. So then I draw a line at 23 and I do the same for here and I draw a line for 23 and then I go, okay, well, 23 plus 23 is 46, and then I do that and I increment it. That way we end up with a bunch of 23 by 23 chambers, or like 22 by 22, depending on how you see it. Any case, so we end up with a bunch of chambers that I feel would give us enough space to run around the zombies, and then I would probably just end up creating like a 3 by 3 hole everywhere at the bottom corners, so that the player can still like move through, and then we would have like zombie spawners at the top corners where the zombies can then spawn and go down. But in any case, say for instance you are like me, you went too big with the map and now you feel like, well, I want to create my own map, but I also have things I want to do and I want to come back to this later. Now what you can do is press Ctrl S and then just save it, so make sure it's in assets and data, and then you can just say melee map and it will save it as the .json, and that's it, it's saved. And later you can just open it up again when you come back. In any case, I'm back. I'll be back when I have hopefully finished all of this, and hopefully before I am 100. I am definitely not creating such a big map for when we do the range characters, but in my defense, I want to see how well we can set up the pathfinding for the melee characters. So I'll be back again. Okay, I am finally done setting up the grid. So what I ended up going with is having 1 point in the middle, and I should not have done that. Did I do it on this side? No. Any case, we'll just say it's not a bug, it's a feature. It's gonna bother me. Let me just go all the way up. So, not that one, this one. 3, 4. Let me just delete those two. Any case, so the idea is there's a lot of movement space, and yet there's also a lot of walls that the zombies have to move through. So what I was thinking is we could say, for instance, go over here and say player. We can just slap that player down. Create. Let's just slap it down there. That is the player. That is where the player will spawn in our world. Now what we can do is go melee monsters, zoom out, and then just fill up this bottom line with melee monsters so that they will spawn at the bottom, have all the bottom spawning spaces. Then they'll have to move up towards us and we have to move down towards them. It should allow for a bit more interesting pathfinding, see if it can handle it, see if we need to tweak anything. But for now, I'm gonna have to go set up a few dozen zombies. Wish me luck. Okay, so as you can see, we now have 414 spots where melee monsters can spawn. So let me just go there, click it. So you can see it's like an entire red line there. So the idea is that they will have to go to and navigate through to our character. Now, the last thing we need is to get the flooring. So just gonna click on the floor, click on the paintbrush, and go bloop. Floors everywhere. If we zoom in, we can see it looks horrible, but at least we can differentiate between floors and walls. And this file will be in the project folder. I will have to check if there is any issues if I run it in a different folder, if there's still a problem with it, if there is. So if there's an issue with this problem, I will give you an update in next week's tutorial. And for now, this map is done. I am happy with it. All that's left is to import it into our project. But that sounds like a problem for future us. Now, just before you go, if you enjoyed this week's tutorial, feel free to drop a like, drop a comment, tell us how much you love it, maybe subscribe to the channel, tell your friends and family about it. It's always good to see the subscriber count increase because it means that more and more people are learning how to use the HaxeFlixel game framework, and also it brings me closer to monetization on the YouTube platform, which I will admit sounds really awesome. If you want to support the channel beyond that, I would suggest heading over to 8bitswag.com. The link will be in the description below. Maybe get yourself a nice Hax shirt, sticker, or maybe even a hoodie. Who knows, maybe you can show your friends, show off your sweet Hax developer swag, get them jealous, maybe get them to buy some as well. No pressure though. Until next week, I hope you have an awesome week, and goodbye.